Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we have a wild lesson for you at the elementary level.
That's right. We are actually going to visit a farm. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to see a lot of animals. And not only that, but we're going to learn a lot of interesting words and phrases in English today. But before we get started, let's take a look at vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
And on his farm he had a duck, E-I-E-I-O.
We're not going to be teaching you this song today. Don't worry. You don't have to listen to us sing. But we do have a great word to start us off. It's called, the word is country.
A country. Okay, so you know country as like the United States,
Mexico,
China, etc. But in this case, we are going out to the country. Not out of the country, we're going out to the country.
To the country, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The country, or you might hear the countryside, is a place that's not like a city.
Right.
So it's the opposite of city. It means there's lots of grass. It's very natural. There are very, very few houses and people. It's very quiet. So it's the opposite of a busy city. It's the country.
And you have a lot of animals. So usually farms are found on the countryside or at the countryside.
In the countryside.
So usually farms are found in the countryside.
That's right. And I personally am a big fan because it's so quiet and peaceful.
Very good.
We can talk about that in a minute. Let's listen to today's dialogue first, and then we'll be back to talk about some of the words and phrases.
Isn't this great? I always wanted to own a farm, live out in the country, grow my own food.
This is very beautiful, though I have to confess, I don't know the first thing about farming.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
What was that?
Relax. It was just a goat.
And that?
It's just the cows that are grazing over there. We can milk them later.
What was that?
Honey, seriously, it's just a sheep. Relax. Relax. That was just the horses and donkeys that are in the stable.
You know what? I don't think I can hack it out here in the countryside. I'm going back to the city.
All right, we're back. So obviously some people cannot go to the countryside.
That's right. Some people get very, very upset. In fact, there was a whole TV show in America that was about city people living in the countryside, in the
See
country.
if they can do it, right?
That's right.
All right, but before we talk about that, why don't we take a look at 4 keywords in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
The first word is the name of an animal. Okay, so you've all heard of cows, but have you heard of goats?
A goat.
A goat.
All right, so a goat is a strange-looking animal. It's kind of skinny, and what do you get from a goat?
You can actually drink goat's milk.
Right.
And many people like to eat goat's cheese, which is cheese made from goat's milk.
Okay, so a goat, and we heard that the sound that a goat makes, so I think it's pretty clear what a goat is, and they're very common, as we say, in farms, such as sheep and horses, cows, etc.
That's right. And normally, when they're in the wild, they like to live in rocky places, like mountains.
Right, that's why they say they're very good climbers, because they don't fall off the mountains. All right, and well, if you have cows, then they're probably going to be grazing.
Okay, so to graze is a verb. It's something we do. Well, we people don't do it. Animals do it. It's a way for us to describe how animals, like cows, eat. Means to eat grass.
Okay, so if your cows or horses are grazing, that means they're eating grass somewhere out.
That's right. They're walking. They stop. They eat some grass. They walk. They stop again. It's a very slow process.
All right, so cows are usually grazing out in the countryside, and well, once they finish grazing and they get all fat, then in the mornings you have to milk them.
Okay, so we drink milk. Milk is a thing, but it's also a verb. So to milk something.
All right, and if you milk a cow is when you extract the milk, the liquid from them, right?
That's right. So underneath a cow, there's an udder, or there Underneath the cow, there are udders, which you have to squeeze with your hands to make the milk come out.
Okay.
Okay.
An interesting word as well, udder, right?
Udder.
It's like that big bag full of milk.
Exactly. So to milk a cow.
All right. And you have cows out in the fields grazing, and probably your horses and donkeys are going to be in the stable.
The stable is a place, okay? So this is something that's often found on farms, where the horses or the cows live. It's a structure, it's a building for those animals.
Okay, so they're probably separated in different little rooms or compartments, and that's called a stable. So as you say, you usually find horses and cows and donkeys in there.
That's right. So a stable is a way to protect animals from the weather.
All right, very good. So 4 key words there, as we just saw. Why don't we listen to this dialogue again, and we'll be back soon.
Isn't this great? I always wanted to own a farm, live out in the country, grow my own food.
This is very beautiful, though I have to confess, I don't know the first thing about farming.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
What was that?
Relax. It was just a goat.
And that?
It's just the cows that are grazing over there. We can milk them later.
What was that?
Honey, seriously, it's just a sheep. Relax. Relax. That was just the horses and donkeys that are in the stable.
You know what? I don't think I can hack it out here in the countryside. I'm going back to the city.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
You know, Marco, I have to confess,
What?
I love Fluency Builder.
All right, and that's our first phrase for today. I have to confess.
Okay, so to confess is to tell someone something that's a secret. Okay, so we can confess with a priest. No, so we can confess to a priest. We can confess a secret to a friend.
Okay.
But I have to confess is a very common phrase. It's a way for us to start a sentence. I have to confess.
Right, so you're saying, I have to be honest with you. I have to tell you the truth.
Exactly. So I have to confess, I'm not a huge fan of that sweater.
Okay.
So I have to be honest. I really don't like your sweater. This is a way for us to be more polite when we're saying something that's negative.
And in this case, it was the girl who was confessing, and what she confessed is her second key phrase. I don't know the first thing about farming.
Okay, so I don't know anything about farming is another way we could say this, or I don't know a thing about farming, but I don't know the first thing about farming means I don't even understand what a farm is. Okay,
Right.
The first thing is, what is a farm? I don't even understand what a farm is for. This is a way for us to say, I don't know anything at all about this.
And if we change the noun, right, and we can say, for example, I don't know the first thing about cars. So I have no idea of what models they are or what type of engine they have. I don't know the first thing about cars.
All I know is how to turn them on.
Right?
Or I don't know the first thing about wines. I'd love to learn about wine, but I don't know the first thing about it.
Okay. So it's a phrase that you can use with many, many different nouns, right? I don't know the first thing about architecture. I don't know the first thing about English.
Right. Well, we do, and that's why we're here to help you. But this is a really great phrase to describe not understanding anything at all about something.
Right.
So this is a really great way to describe not knowing anything at all about something.
Okay. And well, obviously, since she didn't know the first thing about farming, she ended up leaving, and she said, you know what? I don't think I can hack it out here in the countryside.
Okay, so I can hack it, he can't hack it. We use this with the verb to be able to. And it means, I don't think I can do this. I think this is too hard.
Or maybe if somebody quit, right, after a week at the office, and you can say he couldn't hack it. He couldn't hack the pressure, and he left.
Exactly. So that means to handle, or to be able to handle, or to withstand. So I just don't think I can hack the cold. Right? I can't handle the cold. It's too cold here. I'm moving somewhere warm.
All right, so I'm sure you guys will be able to hack our dialogue one last time. So let's listen to it, and we'll be back.
Isn't this great? I always wanted to own a farm, live out in the country, grow my own food.
This is very beautiful, though I have to confess, I don't know the first thing about farming.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
What was that?
Relax. It was just a goat.
And that?
It's just the cows that are grazing over there. We can milk them later.
What was that?
Honey, seriously, it's just a sheep. Relax. Relax. That was just the horses and donkeys that are in the stable.
You know what? I don't think I can hack it out here in the countryside. I'm going back to the city.
All right, we're back. So, as you said, you're a fan of the countryside and about farming, right?
That's right. Well, I wish I knew more about farming. I don't know the first thing about milking a cow, but I do come from a part of the world in Illinois near Chicago where we have a lot of farms, and I appreciate the quiet and
Yeah, it's nice.
having animals around and being able to go on long walks without cars and horns and bicycles.
And it is actually a little bit refreshing to be out in the countryside sometimes and not even have internet or cell phone coverage or anything. So it's just basically, you can't do anything else but relax, read a book, talk to people.
Exactly.
Now, an interesting thing about this is a lot of people take for granted the countryside, because I've met many people who live in the city, who grew up in the city and have never seen, for example, a live chicken. And when they see it, they just freak out and take pictures with the chicken or a cow or something. It's
so
amazing.
funny. That's really funny. Well, I think it's very valuable. I think there are very valuable skills that you learn being out in the countryside, like how to cook for yourself.
Right.
There's no one else who can cook for you, or how to get food from animals.
Or maybe you can't even use a microwave, so how do you cook without a microwave or something?
That's right. And I think the biggest problem for city people when they come to the countryside is that it's dirtier. Mm-hmm. You know, you get mud and there are bugs, and I imagine some of our coworkers here having a very hard time in the country.
Imagine waking up in the morning and hearing birds instead of traffic. No car horns, no buses, just birds, the wind, and maybe a cow.
A cow? Yes. That's what it's like in the countryside. It's very quiet, peaceful, and sometimes a little smelly.
Yes, the smell of animals and fresh grass. But it's different from the city. There are fewer people, more open space, and a lot of animals.
I think many people don't really understand what it's like to live in the countryside. They see farms in movies, but they've never been on one.
You're right. I remember the first time I visited a real farm. I saw cows, chickens, goats, even a horse.
Did you touch them?
Yes, and I even fed a goat. But I was nervous. I didn't know what to do. I don't know the first thing about animals.
That's a great phrase. I don't know the first thing about something. It means you know nothing about it, not even one small part.
Exactly. I didn't know how to hold the food, or if the goat would bite me.
Goats don't bite. Well, not usually, but they do like to eat everything: grass, paper, clothes.
And then I saw cows grazing in the field. Do you know the word graze?
Of course. When animals graze, they eat grass slowly. They walk, eat, stop, eat again. It's very calm.
Yes, it was peaceful watching them. And later, the farmer showed us how to milk the cow. That was a surprise.
Milk is not just a drink. It's also a verb. To milk a cow means to take the milk from it, usually by hand.
It's harder than it looks. You have to press gently but with strength. And the cow needs to be relaxed.
Did the cow kick you?
No, but she looked annoyed. I think I wasn't very good at milking.
That's okay. Most people in cities don't know how to do farm work. It's not easy. That's why we say, I don't think I can hack it.
Hacking it means being able to manage something, right?
Yes. If something is too difficult and you can't continue, you say, I can't hack it. Like, I couldn't hack living on a farm. It's too hard.
Well, I tried. But I think I enjoy the idea of the countryside more than the real thing.
But the animals are so cute. I love seeing horses in the stable.
The stable is where the horses sleep, right?
Yes. It's a small building on the farm. It protects the animals from the rain, wind, and cold.
And it smells like horses, but also kind of warm and soft.
It's true. The farm has its own kind of beauty. Green fields, quiet mornings, simple life. But not everyone can live that way.
Still, I think it's good for people to visit the countryside at least once, to understand where food comes from and how people live outside the city.
I agree. And also to see real animals, not just cartoons or photos.
And maybe learn some useful English words while they're there.
Of course, like goat, graze, milk, stable, hacket.
And don't forget pitchfork. I saw one leaning against the barn. It looked just like in old movies.
Yes, a pitchfork. It's a big tool with long metal points. Farmers use it to move hay or straw.
I tried picking up some hay with it, but it was heavier than I expected. Hay looks light, but there's a lot of it.
Hay is dry grass that animals eat, right?
Yes, and straw is a bit different. It's the dry part of the plant used more for bedding, not for eating.
Good point. So hay for food, straw for sleeping.
Exactly. The farmer also had a big red tractor. It was loud and it moved slowly, but it could pull heavy things.
Tractors are amazing machines. They help with plowing, planting, and carrying things around the farm.
It's funny. Children love toy tractors, but the real ones are even more fun to watch.
Did you sit in the tractor?
Yes, the seat was high and the view was great. I felt like I was the king of the farm.
That's a nice phrase, king of the farm. It means you feel important, like you're in charge.
I wasn't in charge of anything, though. I couldn't even collect the eggs from the chickens.
Were you scared of the chickens?
A little. They were walking around quickly, and one of them made a loud sound. I didn't want to get pecked.
Pecking means when birds hit with their beak. It's usually fast and small, but it can still hurt.
Yes, and I had never touched a chicken before. Their feathers are softer than I expected.
They are, and the eggs were still warm when I picked them up. That was a surprise for me.
Warm eggs? That's something I never thought about before. In the store, eggs are always cold.
On the farm, everything is fresh. That's one of the best parts.
The farmer also let us see the vegetable garden. There were carrots, tomatoes, lettuce.
And did you try picking any?
Yes, I pulled a carrot from the ground. It was dirty, but when we washed it, it tasted amazing.
That's true. Vegetables from the farm are full of flavor. They haven't traveled far or sat in a box for days.
That's why some people say farm to table. It means the food comes straight from the farm to your plate.
And the word fresh really means something there. Everything feels alive and colorful.
And even the work felt kind of fun. We used a wheelbarrow to move some soil, and I felt like a real farmer.
A wheelbarrow. That's a small cart with one wheel in the front and two handles. You push it and carry things.
I had to learn how to balance it. I spilled soil once because I turned too fast.
That happens. It's part of the learning. Farm life is all about trying, failing, and trying again.
And respecting nature. Everything on the farm is connected, the animals, the plants, the people.
Yes, when you live in a city, it's easy to forget where things come from. But on a farm, you see the cycle of life every day.
One thing that surprised me was how much work happens early in the morning. The farmer wakes up before the sun.
Yes, farm life starts early. Animals need food. Plants need water. And there is no time to be lazy.
I was still half asleep, but the farmer was already feeding the chickens and checking the fences.
Fences are very important. They keep the animals safe and stop them from running away.
I helped fix a wooden fence. We used a hammer and nails. I felt proud when it was finished.
That's great. Doing small jobs like that can really help. Farm work is about teamwork.
Yes, and the farmer told us that even children on farms help with small tasks, like collecting eggs or feeding the goats.
That's true. Farm children often grow up learning responsibility from a young age.
And they learn to respect animals and nature. I think that's something special.
Did you see any baby animals?
Yes, there were baby goats, so small and playful. They were jumping around like little acrobats.
That's adorable. Baby goats are called kids, right?
Yes, just like human children. It can be confusing at first.
And baby cows are called calves. I saw one drinking milk from its mother. It was so sweet.
It's amazing how animals care for their young, just like people do.
Nature teaches us so many things, like how important it is to be patient.
That's true. Planting seeds and waiting for them to grow. It takes time and care.
And every plant needs something different. Some need more water. Some need more sun.
I learned the word watering can on the farm. It's a container with a long spout that you use to water plants.
Yes, and if you water too much, the plant can die. So you need to be gentle.
It made me realize that farmers are like plant doctors and animal caretakers all in one.
That's a good way to say it. They do so many things: feeding, cleaning, fixing, planting.
They also use special clothes. The farmer wore rubber boots, gloves, and a straw hat.
Those boots are very useful. Farms can be muddy, and the hat protects from the sun.
At the end of the day, we were all tired. But it was a good kind of tired. Like we had done something meaningful.
That's the feeling of honest work. Using your hands, being outside, helping the land.
And at night, the stars were so bright. No city lights to block them.
I love that. The sky in the countryside is beautiful. It feels wide and open.
And quiet. Just the sounds of animals and the wind. No cars. No noise.
That peaceful feeling is something I'll never forget.
The peaceful nights were my favorite. After dinner, we just sat outside, listened to the animals, and looked at the stars.
That sounds lovely. No phones, no noise, just nature.
Yes, and we talked. Real conversation. It felt different from city life where everyone is rushing.
It's true. On a farm, time feels slower. People are busy, but they are calm.
And there's something special about eating food that came from the farm itself. We had eggs, vegetables, even fresh milk.
Did you help cook?
A little. I helped wash vegetables and set the table. But the farmer's wife cooked a big country meal.
Country meals are usually simple, but full of flavor. What did you eat?
We had roasted potatoes, boiled carrots, a vegetable soup, and homemade bread. Everything was fresh and warm.
That sounds delicious. I love homemade bread. It smells so good and tastes even better.
We also had jam that they made from their own fruit. I didn't know people still made jam at home.
Yes, many farm families grow berries, like strawberries or raspberries, and make jam in jars.
It tasted sweet and natural, not like the ones in supermarkets.
And did you get to help with any evening jobs?
Yes, we helped bring the animals into their barns and stables before dark. Some chickens didn't want to go in.
Haha, chickens can be stubborn, but it's important to bring them inside to protect them from foxes or bad weather.
I also learned how to close the gate properly. If it's not closed right, animals can escape.
That would be a disaster. Imagine chasing a goat down the road.
One goat actually did escape during the day. It ran toward the vegetable garden.
Oh no, did it eat the vegetables?
Almost, but we stopped it in time. The farmer laughed and said, "That one is always trouble."
Some animals have big personalities, just like people.
I also noticed that every animal had a job. Chickens give eggs. Cows give milk. Sheep give wool.
Yes, and dogs help the farmer. They keep the animals together and protect the farm.
There was one dog who followed the farmer everywhere. He was loyal and smart.
Farm dogs are amazing. They don't just play, they work.
After a few days, I really started to understand how much care and effort it takes to run a farm.
It's a full-time job, no weekends off. Animals need food every day, even on holidays.
That's true. And it made me feel thankful for the people who grow our food.
Farmers are often forgotten, but they do one of the most important jobs in the world.
One thing I really took away from the farm experience is how everything is connected. People, animals, plants, they all need each other.
Yes, it's like one big team. If one part doesn't work, everything can fall apart.
I also learned to be patient. You can't rush nature. Seeds need time to grow. Animals need time to trust you.
That's true, and I think it helps us become more calm and thankful. Life in the countryside teaches us to slow down and notice small things.
Like the sound of leaves in the wind, or the smell of fresh grass, or how warm an egg feels in your hand right after it's laid.
These small things are easy to miss in city life, but they are very beautiful and special.
After spending time on the farm, I feel more respect for nature and more respect for farmers.
Yes, because farming is not easy. It's hard work. It takes heart and strength and knowledge.
And even if it's hard, it's full of joy too. Watching something grow, helping animals, eating food you helped prepare.
That's real life. It's simple but meaningful.
I hope our listeners enjoyed this conversation. Maybe it helped you learn new words and understand farm life better.
Yes, and maybe one day you can visit a farm too. It's a great way to learn and to relax.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you had fun and learned something useful.
Keep practicing English, and remember, learning is like planting seeds. With care and time, you'll grow.
Take care and see you next time.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Rural areas. Country. To feed in a meadow or pasture. Graze. Get the milk from a cow. Milk. Know little about. Don't know the first thing about. A building for the shelter and feeding of domestic animals, especially horses and cattle. Stable. Be able to manage or manage successfully. Hack it.
Let's try that faster.
To feed in a meadow or pasture. Graze. Know little about. Don't know the first thing about. Get the milk from a cow. Milk. Rural areas. Country. A building for the shelter and feeding of domestic animals, especially horses and cattle. Stable. Be able to manage or manage successfully. Hack it.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Country. It took only 10 minutes of driving before we were out of the city and in the country. Country. My mom grew up on a farm out in the country and met my dad one day when his truck broke down on the country road beside the farm. Country. I love being out in the country because it is so peaceful. Don't know the first thing about. I would be so scared to have a baby because I don't know the first thing about being a mom. Don't know the first thing about. I don't know the first thing about teaching, so there is no way I am going to look for a job teaching English. Don't know the first thing about. My sister is your babysitter? But she doesn't know the first thing about taking care of kids. Graze. The cows grazed in the field. Graze. I knew that something was wrong when I looked out over the countryside and saw only one horse grazing in the field. Graze. Every morning he takes the sheep out to graze. Stable. The little girl led the donkey back into the stable. Stable. He went into the stable to take a look at the new kittens. Stable. Your father put the new horse in the big stall in the stable. Hack it. I think the new employee is going to quit because he just can't hack it. Hack it. I can't hack it being a nanny because the kids won't listen to me. Hack it. She's not too sure if she could hack it in the city with all the people and all the noise.